sports.
Now morning.
Hey, yo, man. It is Thursday, May 27th, 2021. This is the Monty Show. Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. If you're listening on Stitcher Radio, you are powering the podcast right now. Thanks for that. What's up on Spotify? What's up on Apple? You know what's funny, Jake? Somebody asked me yesterday, hey, where can I find your content, bro?
Content team.
And I said, well, I am the content team, alone, singularly.
Right. I don't do anything. I just kind of show up, right?
So why don't you go ahead and just head to Google and search The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, which is how you'll find our YouTube channel, which you want to subscribe to. And again, the meteoric rise of awesomeness continues. I woke up on one today.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I should stop smoking crack in the middle of the night. Something. We have 837 subscribers on this show. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, subs. When we get to 1,000 footlongs, or subscribers, excuse me. Yeah, you know. Wow, new drops. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a 50-inch Crystal UHD 4K TV.
QLED.
Which, by the way, is sitting up in my living room, so can we hurry this up? Because it's a large box, which is what she said. Anyway, the point is...
Wow. Okay, it's going to be that kind of show today.
Go ahead and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Tag us on Twitter with a picture of your subscription. The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars on Twitter or Instagram. Tag us both. Let's talk NBA basketball. We're not going to talk Jazz today. There's really nothing to talk about.
Well, look, we didn't watch the game, so
we don't watch games.
Did they even win last night?
I'm not sure. Did they play?
I don't know. I know the Wizards played.
Yeah, Lakers tonight. Let's talk Lakers. Don't curse in the comments, please. Okay, let's talk Utah Jazz basketball. A monumental Game 1 win for the Memphis Grizzlies is all but a forgotten memory at this point as the Don is back. Donovan Mitchell makes his triumphant return, gives you everything that you want, and what do you know? Not only do I have a grovelly voice... but I know what I'm talking about.
That's every day.
Game went exactly as we told you it would. Don dominated, played 25 minutes. The Utah Jazz won. Jake, it's all right in Jazzland.
Yeah, I mean, this was not a surprise, frankly. I mean, we literally told you yesterday on the show that they were going to win this game easy. Yes, did it get close in the third quarter? Yes, the Grizzlies had their run. The Jazz handled that just fine. I thought... a couple of wins within the game last night. Really happy with how Donovan Mitchell rolled out in the beginning of the game. I think that was exactly what the doctor ordered. It couldn't have gone any better. He looked 100%. He had his explosion. He had his jumper going. Everything you could ask for out of the guy. And so I think moving forward, we don't really have to question where he's going to be at. Will he have to deal with some stiffness in his ankle? Sure. But overall, I don't think we really got to worry about Donovan Mitchell. And I think overall, last night showed you just how important of a player he is to this team. I mean, whether you want to look at it from the angle of guys getting, pushed down one slot on the roster so they can play their natural position, whether you want to look at the fact that he pretty much dominated Dillon Brooks in the first quarter, got Dillon Brooks in foul trouble early, and that basically just propelled the Jazz out to a 20-point lead. Whether you want to look at that or any of the other wins from last night within this game, I just thought that it was exactly what they needed. And now the question just simply is this going to be a 5-game series, or are they going to mess around and make it a 6-game series? I think that is literally the only question that is left to ask, because they are just they're just a superior team to the Grizzlies. There's no other way to say it. They're a better team. They shoot the ball at a higher rate. They've got more ways to beat you. And that's just what it is at this point.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is, and I know that we talk about this a lot on this show, but it's not Donovan Mitchell that's going to win you games. He is critical. You got to have him to win games. But the Joe Ingles situation, I'm telling you, this is what makes the Jazz special. When Joe Ingles can be a guy off the bench that catches and shoots, makes threes, it demoralizes teams like Memphis. It allows guys like Mike Conley to play in a lot more space. We saw the fruits of that labor last night. It allows the Utah Jazz, having Don on the floor, it allows them to attack and get Dylan Brooks and Jonas Valanciunas in foul trouble. It allows the Jazz to be that team that was the best team in the NBA for most of this year. And it was a pleasant surprise to see that team show out right off the opening tip because Donovan Mitchell was ready to rock and roll. There was rust there. That was very clear. They limited his minutes last night. That was very clear. But boy, Donovan Mitchell gave you everything that you wanted. And I guess my question now is, does Memphis win another game in this series? Because, Jake, I'm pretty convinced they will not.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to say that they won't win one in Memphis just because, they don't have quit. There's no quit in the Memphis Grizzlies. Like, last night, you're down by, 20 or whatever it was in the third quarter, and you make this run, and you bring it back to a game again. I think they pulled within 2 at one point. So, do they win the game? No, they didn't win the game. But I think they're on the road. They're in a difficult environment. They're in foul trouble, and they're still making it a tight game. And so, to me, when I think about this series going back to Memphis, this next game, Game 3 will decide how short or long of a series this is going to be. If the Jazz win Game 3, they're not going to lose to the Grizzlies again. My opinion is I do think that the Grizzlies will go home. They'll win Game 3, and then from there, the Jazz will win out and end the series. And I just say that simply because I think when you go home, you're going to get more calls your way in Memphis, and I think that when they're getting more calls and they're not in foul trouble, they are still a really difficult team to handle.
Yeah, I don't see any way that Memphis wins another game. I mean, what would that even look like? What would the Memphis Grizzlies have to do at this point? What would they even have to do to win another game in this series? I think they're spread very thin defensively. This is where quality comes in over quantity. I think the Memphis Grizzlies can run a quantity of gentlemen at you off of their bench. I don't think they can run a quality of guys at you off their bench. I think when Joe Ingles is a reserve, Joe Ingles is as good as a six man as Jordan Clarkson is. When the three ball's going in, nobody's better than Jordan Clarkson. Who's that guy off of the Memphis bench? I don't see that guy. And I think that's why you see all of the production coming in the starting 5 for Memphis and very little off the bench, even when you have guys in foul trouble. So I guess my question is, if Memphis is going to win, how are they going to win?
Yeah, I mean, I think what it looks like is, you're going back to Memphis to play in their on their court, which I think then means that there's going to be some foul trouble for the Jazz. Just inherently, I think the Grizzlies will get more calls. So if you figure, hey, maybe Rudy gets into some foul trouble, maybe Conley or Don gets into some foul trouble, who knows, right? But I think what it looks like for the Grizzlies to win a game is the Jazz not shooting 50% from 3 like they did last night. And then foul trouble. That's legit what I think it would take for the Grizzlies to win Game 3. And I think that the Jazz have shown us that they are, they have a propensity to be a little bit inconsistent here and there with their shot making. One game it's 20%, the next game it's 50%. So I'm not saying that the Grizzlies are on the Jazz level. We're not talking about, hey, do the Grizzlies have any chance of winning this series? Because they don't. But when we talk about, hey, are the Grizzlies going to be able to push this game to 6 or 7? They're not pushing this to 7 games. I do think they'll push it to 6 games. I think they'll win one in Memphis, and then I think that's it. And I think the Jazz will get out of this series and hopefully get an extra day of rest than they initially planned for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really difficult for Memphis to even I mean, okay, I could see them winning a game.
Yeah.
This will not be a series. My opinion is the series is over. With Donovan Mitchell back, hopefully he wakes up this morning feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
As your boy Baker likes to say, he wakes up feeling dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
They get to Memphis on Saturday night and they replicate the exact performance they had tonight. Now, that's often hard to do when you rely so heavily on a three ball, and I totally understand that. But I'm telling you now, this series is over. And the Jazz got their swag back. This is a team that we all knew as the best team in the NBA. And I can point to things like ball movement was spectacular last night. The reversal of the basketball. And, I'll say it about Jordan Clarkson again, just once. Maybe one time the rest of your career, Jordan. Just try the extra pass. Instead of hocking up almost an air ball for three with a guy in your face, kick that ball down the pipeline a little bit, right? Because it's going to end up in Bojan's hands. Mm-hmm. And Bojan Bogdanovic looks more comfortable. I'm telling you, though, this series is over.
Yeah.
I just don't see any way
they're not going to win.
Competes.
The Grizzlies are not going to compete to win this series. The question in the conversation to me more is, how hard are they going to make the Jazz work to win the series? Because if you think about it, we don't yet know who the Jazz are going to play in the next round, and I think that, if you're the Utah Jazz, you want to get out of this series as fast as possible. You want to continue to get as much rest in between series as possible, and I think it's a real thing. If you get, let's say you win this series in 5. Let's say the Grizzlies don't win another game. You torch them, you absolutely dominate them. Now you're talking about getting, 2, maybe 3 days extra rest, depending on what happens in the other series. So that's why I'm saying, it's not so much that I'm concerned about the Jazz winning or losing this series. I'm already thinking about, hey, how much time off and how much rest can we get these guys before they play their next opponent? That's really what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, let's get into some of your comments on YouTube. Make sure you find us on YouTube, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. You can go to themontyshow.com, which takes you directly to our YouTube channel. Vision Gaming says, hey, guys, he says we're out of focus. Okay. Emmanuel Quiajimindo.
Who?
Emmanuel Q. Well, I can't call you Q anymore because that word is terrible.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Sorry, Q. He says, first one here. Well, actually, you were the third one here. Shelter1988 says, good evening from the Philippines. No,
good evening.
Good evening to you, sir. Appreciate you being here. Seth Johnson says, morning, fellas. How many times did Rudy fall over or flop last night? Love the Jazz, but damn. The officiating, if you're a Jazz fan, that's the game you had hoped and dreamed of.
Yeah.
They got just about every call. I mean, it was remarkable how soft the calls were to get Valanciunas and Dillon Brooks in foul trouble. The one where Don was shooting a 3, that's a foul every day.
Every day.
The Joe Ingles foul on Dillon Brooks, where Brooks goes tumbling over Joe Ingles, that's a terrible call. They reviewed it. Brooks was playing out of control, and I think that's probably why they called it. Joe Ingles clearly leaned into him and flipped him over his shoulder. Like that should have been a foul on Joe Ingles.
Yeah.
The officials gave every call to the Utah Jazz. If you're a Jazz fan, I wouldn't complain a single bit.
Yeah.
Brylark says, morning, boys. Good morning. Casey, good morning to you. Shelter88 says, great day for Jazz fans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bask in it, my friend.
Enjoy it, man. Seriously, enjoy it.
Brylark says, Donovan is a special man. Jazz are completely elite with him on the court. They got their groove back, and that's why we titled the show today, the Utah Jazz got their Don back. Yeah. Because that's exactly, I think, what Donovan Mitchell brought to this lineup was that belief, that confidence. It makes everybody better because guys like Bogdanovic, and I think we've seen a little bit of it out of Joe Ingles, but most of the guys on this team don't do well as a number one option.
Bojan.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not who Bogey is. Like, if you look at Mike Conley, not a lot of people are going to talk about the game Mike Conley had last night. Mm-hmm. The guy dominated. And he dominated because he was able to play in a lot more space, right? And, I think that today it is all wine and roses. This was everything that you wanted out of the Jazz. And frankly, at this point, I don't care who they play in round 2. I guess at this point they're waiting for Dallas or the Clippers, and really they're waiting for Dallas to finish the Clippers until something changes, which is shocking. But, at this point, you're just waiting to see who you're going to play in round 2, and you're getting tuned up. The point of the rest of this series is, hey, be healthy, stay healthy, play good basketball.
Yes.
And if they do that, I think that they're going to sweep the rest of the series, which I think they will. Austin Parkins, good morning to you, or Austin Parkin, good morning to you. Are you parking your car? Good win for the Jazz, but, I'm really concerned about their lack of defense. The refs were definitely still in Rudy's head as he shrieked away from Morant on every possession, Kyle Korver style. There is no doubt that the officials are in Rudy Gobert's head. And the thing that really stands out to me is, okay, you blocked Ja Morant spectacularly on that dunk attempt. But then Ja attacked you the rest of the game, and you really did nothing about that but cry and whine at the officials. And I think Rudy's going to have to get past this. It's almost like you're taking a pacifier away from him. The Jazz have got to get him to shut up and play basketball.
Yeah.
Because he was getting calls last night, and then he wasn't getting so many calls in the second half. And why is that? I don't think it's because they changed their calls. I think it's because Rudy whines too much. And at some point, I don't know what you think about that, but I think at some point it wears the officials out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best way to say it? It dilutes your reputation with the official when you're constantly complaining and you're. I mean, even on like just average plays, if on the outlet when the Grizzlies outlet, don't watch the Grizzlies outlet. Watch Rudy. You will see that he complains. I mean, it may not be every single time, but it is close if it's not. And I think that Rudy Gobert, the struggle for Rudy is simply this. Because he doesn't have an individual offensive skill set, he's not able to overcome, let's say, bad officiating or officiating he doesn't agree with or whatever the case may be. So he's a guy who has to complain constantly, and, that's just his existence. Whereas someone like Donovan Mitchell could not care because he's still going to beat you offensively. So it doesn't really matter to him. And that to me, I think the last thing I'd say is when Rudy's complaining constantly, I also think that has an effect on the rest of the team. So I also think you see that the change in the officiating happens like you were talking about. And the Jazz, just generally speaking, don't get as many calls.
Yeah, our good friend Tyler says it was only a matter of time before you guys turned heel against the Utah Jazz. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, what is that? What do you mean, dude?
To me, this is one of those things, and the rest of essentially Tyler is saying, hey, this is a great night. You said good things. I'm not the one who brought up the officiating with Rudy Gobert. Blame Austin Parkin for that. Austin, this is your fault.
I mean, it's always a conversation. Like whether
every game.
Like whether you wanna just if you just don't want to talk about it. Well, I'm sorry. This is not what we do on this show. We're going to talk about the whole package. Yeah, they dominated this game. Was the officiating part of it? Sure it was. I mean, it's a part of every NBA game. There's always a conversation around it. But at the end of the day, I think, the only, if you really want me to be negative on the Jazz, the only thing that I would have negative to say is the third quarter when they allowed this Memphis Grizzlies team to get back in the game. Yeah. Because the difference is if you allow, let's say, the Dallas Mavericks to get back into a game, they're good enough where they can beat you in those kind of moments.
Yeah, but the thing I think that's important here, the Utah Jazz are a superior team to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose another game in this series, the Jazz, I would be disappointed. They are at least twice as good as the Grizzlies are. The issue is that the Utah Jazz tend to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think Donovan Mitchell made that an impossibility last night. So I like that a lot. Brylark says, we have always known the Jazz are really weak against quick athletic guards. They just get chopped up. Well, listen, this morning feels like a morning where you should bask in the glory of this win.
Yeah.
But it also is one of those things where you better take you ready? Take note.
Hey, you see what he did there?
It's the Jazz take note.
Razzle dazzle.
Anyway, the point is, you better notice that Ja Morant who dropped a 47-piece nugget on you. You better notice that Ja Morant had a lot of space to play in the second half. And when Brooks and Valanciunas came out in the third quarter in much better position foul-wise, my question is, how did you not attack Dylan Brooks and foul him out?
Yeah.
I think those are always conversations we have, but I look up and down at some of these numbers, and I think that it's a little scary that every starter, including Kyle Anderson, was in double figures for the Memphis Grizzlies, and they didn't get much off their bench. Melton gave them 7, Bane gave them 5, and Jones gave them 2. That was it. And I would point out that Grayson Allen gave them nothing. And this was still a game in the fourth quarter at one point.
Yeah.
So
that's why I say, like, when we talk about, hey, are the Grizzlies going to win another game? Yeah, that's why I say I do think that they're capable of winning one more game. Like,
there's no doubt they're capable.
Yeah, but that's why I say you're going to Memphis, you're going on the road, and that's why I say I do think that, in my opinion, my heart of heart, I do believe that they're going to win one more game. I think this is a 6-game series. That's what I see.
The other number that I always pay attention to when the Jazz play quick, aggressive guards, points in the paint.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that number, you would think, based on the highlight reel of Rudy blocking shots, and that the Jazz controlled the paint. Far from it. 62-58. The Memphis Grizzlies won points in the paint last night. And a lot of it is because Ja Morant was able to penetrate and get to the rim and get fouled. And, you had the mid-range game for Memphis is real, and it's effective. And I think it's one of those things that if you want to look for places for the Jazz to grow and evolve in this series, it's controlling the mid-range a little more. And the back and forth on that is, are the Jazz athletic enough, quick enough on the perimeter to keep guys like Ja Morant out? To keep, and forget Ja Morant, nobody's guarding his quicks.
I was going to say.
Okay, forget Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Are you athletic enough to keep Dylan Brooks out of the paint? Are you athletic enough, if you look at the guys that really did damage last night for this Memphis Grizzlies team, how is Kyle Anderson getting into the paint on you? Because his name is slow-mo for a reason. Like, homeboy is not quick.
Yeah.
I look at guys, like Valanciunas. Valanciunas should not score 18 points against Rudy Gobert. I just, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That number to me is one that stands out.
Yeah.
He was in foul trouble.
How many boards did he have, though?
Valanciunas had not many. I think he had 6. But 3 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, 18 and 6, 3 offensive rebounds. I guess, if you're trying to boil down what exactly separates a win and a loss for the Utah Jazz in games like this, I legitimately think we boil it down to three-point shooting, because if you're not going to win in the points in the paint battle,
always three-point shooting with this team.
And if you're not going to if you're not going to win the points in the paint, it really is just going to be, hey, are you shooting 50% from 3?
And they 48.7%.
Yeah, or are you shooting 20% from 3 like you did in game 1?
That's a loss.
And so that's why I say, again, this is a day where Jazz fans should, as you said, be basking in the sunlight or in the glory of this win. 100%. You dominated this game. But moving forward, I just would caution you guys, continue to monitor how well they shoot the ball. Because against better teams who play better defense, the 3 ball is where they're going to have to go to win.
Dijon to All-Star says, let's go!
Yeah, dude,
keep it up, brothers. Yeah. I mean, this is the style of play we need to see from the Jazz.
Yeah.
Because when they play that frenetic ball movement offense, they're unbeatable. They are unbeatable. Forgotten Soul says, Memphis is not trash. Memphis is a good young team. We just need to stop playing defense like we are the Trailblazers. Well, and I think it's good to see. This is the Utah Jazz fan that we're used to.
Yeah.
Educated, good takes.
Yeah.
Not the wild emotional swings.
Well,
the defense is something that is in question,
mm-hmm.
right? There's no doubt that when you give up 129 points to a team that's trash, well, if they're trash, what does that say about your defense?
Yeah.
Because your starters played most of the fourth quarter. So my feeling is that Quinn's going to have to find a way against athletic teams. You're going to have to find a way probably to zone up a little more. Because you're not capable right now of keeping these guys in front of you. And it's not fair to ask a guy like a Mike Conley to stay in front of a John Morant. But do you think this gets easier as you move forward? Because it doesn't against the Dallas Mavericks. And let's assume the Mavs actually do beat the Clippers, which I think is in doubt. But if the Mavs actually do beat the Clippers, do you think your defense gets easier? Because I got to be honest with you, it's a little surprising to see Luka's mom in the paint like dunking on bros. Like, I mean, Luka is a legit inside-outside player.
The rack attack!
Yeah, and if you look at the way they're running the floor in Dallas right now, with Porzingis filling from the wing, they're a handful, and they're getting a lot of contributions. Tim Hardaway Jr. has never played better basketball.
Yeah.
He had a session mid-season. He was struggling. He took a session with a guy named Chris Brickley, who's his skills coach, and they spent an entire 2 days doing like a mini boot camp in the middle of the season. And since that boot camp, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been just undeniably one of the best perimeter shooters in basketball.
Yeah.
And he is making a difference. Again, Luka and his hot mom are awesome, and they make a huge impact for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm telling you now, Tim Hardaway is a lot of the reason they're up 2-0 in this series.
Yes.
Because he's making those stagger threes. You better be able to stay attached to that guy's hip. And the Jazz have not been able to do that against teams that use high pick and roll and they move guys around. That's how Dallas succeeds. Because Luka Doncic isn't beating anybody in a foot race.
Mm-hmm.
But he is an MVP candidate, and he deservedly so, as we've seen over the last month of the season. He belongs as one of the top scorers in this game now.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think it's so funny, how, like, style play-wise, you're right. He's not an explosive guy, but that step back is lethal. And his skill is extremely high, and it allows him to make shots that we don't see many guys make. And I agree with you. It's guys like Tim Hardaway or Joe Ingles or any of these what I like to call second-tier players on your team who aren't the primary guy, but the second guy. If they make their shots, Steve Kerr with Jordan, you're going to win a championship. If they don't make their shots, then you're not going to win a championship. And that's the thing. Now, that's why Donovan's return is so crucial for the Jazz, because it returns guys like Joe Ingles back to their spot. And I think if the Jazz can stay on this level, whether they're playing the Mavericks, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, they're going to be if they're not the favorite against Dallas, let's say, I'd be really surprised.
But the thing also is that I think when you look at how people view teams like Dallas and Memphis, there is an inherent disrespect for those teams.
Yes.
And I think that's a problem if you're the Utah Jazz, because I do believe the Jazz took Memphis lightly in Game 1. They came out with very little intensity, and like I said, without Donovan Mitchell, this team still maintained the best record in the NBA. They have home court advantage throughout, which now, by the way, for everybody who said the Jazz didn't need home court advantage, how important is home court advantage when you look at how good Memphis is playing, in areas like perimeter defense? They're actually making a shocking amount of threes in clutch time, which is shocking for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, it is. It is, straight up, yeah.
And I look at Marsh on Instagram. I appreciate you guys follow me on Instagram as well. Don't follow Jake. He's a waste of time.
Yeah,
The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show on Instagram, and you can also find Jake SLC Supercars. Marsh says, I'm tired of Jazz fans calling or complaining about calls that other players get. The Jazz get a lot of calls. You could whistle Rudy Gobert on every play because he's always pushing or elbowing somebody.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right, Marsh. I think you just need to play the game.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the official. And my guy Stanek Daniel, listen, I don't read 99.9% of your comments because you either curse or you're over the top and this guy sucks and that team's trash. But here's the perfect example of what most Jazz fans think about the officials. Memphis is just, down low NBA team. Morant has every call like LeBoom. Rest is trash.
LeBum.
I think he meant LeBum.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I would just ask you, Do you really think Ja Morant got every call last night? And maybe I watched a different game, but Ja Morant did not get every call last night. You watch the first 3 quarters of that game, the Utah Jazz got just about every call that you could want them to get. Again, just go to the Joe Ingles, Dylan Brooks call on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's a foul on Joe Ingles most nights. They got that call. I'm telling you, if you're complaining about the refs as a Jazz fan, you're not watching the game well. Because they get a ton of calls. And I agree with Marsh or whatever his name was. You could call a foul on Rudy every single time. Just watch Rudy Gobert. A lot of pushing in the back, a lot of elbowing. And, like when he goes to post up, you almost always see him throw an elbow into a guy. Like, Rudy is a physical player who doesn't do physical basketball well.
Yeah.
And so it's noticeable because he's so, how do I say this? He's a 7-footer that's small. Like, he's not a huge.
He's not thick.
He's not thick, exactly. He's a lean guy. So his arms are 10 feet long. You notice it when he's flailing. You notice it when his arms get extended.
Yes.
And they don't call that a lot on him. NBA officiating is, I think it's one of the most difficult games to officiate. Teams on both sides of the floor get whistles, don't get whistles. It's not going to be the reason you lose a game.
Well, and it's why you see the review being such an important thing now. I mean, how many reviews are we seeing in an NBA game now? 5 or 6 at least, And I think that's why they've brought it in. And I think, if you really want to get brass tacks on officiating, even on the Gobert block on Ja, you could have, I'm not saying they should have whistled him for it, but you could have made the case that he was moving towards Morant on the block, which you're not allowed to do. You have to go straight up as Ja comes to you. So even on that play, which I agree, it was a good no call. It was straight up block. Like, that's straight up. Like, I'm just saying, officiating wise, the Jazz get more calls than you think just by the official not blowing the whistle. Because just because you're not blowing the whistle, doesn't mean you're not making a call. By not blowing the whistle, you're making a call.
And look, I love Joe Ingles. He's got very little foot speed. So if you watch Joe Ingles play defense, how does he do it? He does it with his shoulders. He does it with his hips. He does it a lot of times when he does that. What he did last night, he puts his arms up in the air, but he's leaning, and then they blow the whistle, and he leaves his arms up in the air, and he's like, I can't believe you called that a foul.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, everybody hates the officials. Every fan base hates the officials.
And that's why you can't use the officials as an excuse when you lose or when you win a game. I mean, the officiating is always going to be a factor. You just have to overcome it some nights.
Yep, Brandon Whitesides, good morning to you. Of course. He says, Brooks teabagged Ingles. Ja 20 free throws. You're crazy. Could touch Ja Morant. You guys are a joke. Well, okay, we can be a joke. But tell us how we're wrong. If you look at the way that this game was called last night, and why does this devolve into the officials? I'm not doing that. The Jazz had a great night.
Yeah.
The Jazz dominated last night for long stretches of this game. They did not defend the paint well, and it's why Memphis was in the game in the first place.
Yeah.
It just, the whole officiating thing is, it's ridiculous to think that the officials are against the Jazz. And I'm not going to entertain it.
Brandon, I love the fact that you comment on the show and you watch this show every day. But the fact that you're coming to us, calling us a joke, and your best take is that Ja had 20 free throws, you have no reason why that's not legit. Ja earned most of those free throws. I don't know if you were paying attention or watching how physical the play is, but when you have the balls to try to posterize Rudy Gobert, and then you're still going at the glass, I'm pretty sure that you're earning some of those calls. So with all due respect, again, and I say this to people all the time on this show, you got to come in here with a better take than, hey, you guys are a joke, and, Ja didn't earn those calls, because he absolutely earned those calls. There's no doubt about it. Go watch the tape.
Yeah, and looking at the video of Dylan Brooks last night, it was not a do you understand how Dylan Brooks, and there's a lot of people commenting on this. Mm-hmm. Do you understand how Dylan Brooks wound up in the position that he wound up in on Joe Ingles?
I don't think people
missed
do.
it.
I don't think people do.
Joe Ingles was on the sideline, in the corner, if you will, extended, like 3/4 court extended, set up to shoot a three. The ball gets kicked to him. he's in the process of shooting his three, and Dylan Brooks aggressively runs at him and jumps to block the three-point shot. And you can see turns his body so he doesn't make contact. Ingles lets the ball go and then clearly leans over into Dylan Brooks and then flips Brooks over his shoulder.
Yes.
And it's very clear, to me anyway, it's very clear that you see that call, and I'm telling you, that should have been a foul on Joe Ingles. It wasn't because of the aggressive nature in which Dylan Brooks attacked the play.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing, too, with this specific play is everyone was saying, and the head coach of the Grizzlies, his name is slipping my mind, but everybody was saying, oh, he's so dumb for challenging this play, and, he's still trying to figure out how to run this ship. And I'm not talking about just like your average jamoke on Twitter, right? Your average Twitter tough guy. I'm talking about, and I'm not going to name drop guys, but I'm talking about major guys who follow the Jazz and cover the Jazz are talking about how, hey, this is such a dumb challenge. And it's like, it's not a dumb challenge. I mean, you're talking about a huge momentum swing in this game if they get that challenge to go their way. And I honestly thought it would go their way until you start to take into account, again, as you were just saying, Dylan Brooks' aggressive nature on that closeout. If he had been more controlled, I think that they would have had a better shot at that. But anyway, overall, I'm just saying that, again, this is a day that we should be talking about, hey, great win, Donovan's healthy. This basically went exactly how you would want it to go if you're a Jazz fan. And the idea that we're sitting here talking about officiating again, even on a day when they win, just tells you everything that you need to know about Jazz fans watching these games. They're looking for a problem with officiating, and I'm telling you, that's the wrong mentality.
You just let it go. I mean, it's one of those things where you just needs to let it go. I don't see anything different with what Ingles did than what Steph, Harden, etc. do with their legs to get these calls. It
wasn't his legs.
It wasn't his legs. He leaned his entire body left. It doesn't matter. It is. All I'm saying is this game went exactly as we all thought it would go.
Yeah. Don
came back, tons of energy. Talked about getting in. Like, I don't know how many people saw the highlight of Donovan Mitchell screaming at Dylan Brooks, "I'm in your ass! Like, get the F out of here!" Like, the Jazz had their swagger back, and to me, that's the best part of this. I think there are definitely some things they're going to have to address to win in Memphis, and I think their perimeter defense is a big one. If you're the Jazz, I think you certainly want the Dallas Mavericks, right?
Absolutely. I think you let me put it this way, though. Like, again, the Clippers wanted the Dallas Mavericks, and they're getting that ass handed to them right now. But I think if you're the Jazz and you're looking at either of these teams, you're saying, yeah, I probably do want the Mavericks because they're probably a little bit easier to handle. But then again, I go right back to what we talked about the other day with the Clippers. The Clippers are not a team that you have to fear in terms of toughness and ability to overcome.
No.
And so when I'm thinking about this Jazz team and how locked in they're going to be by the time they get to the second round, I'm like, dude, like, if it's the Clippers or the Mavs, I think they're going to have their way because I don't think that either of those teams can keep up with the pace that the Jazz like to play at, the normal pace for the Jazz, which is, you're not running the transition break constantly, but you're getting up and down the floor at a pretty good rate. And both the Mavericks and the Clippers like to play slower. So I think either way, the Jazz are going to be fine.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that you have a situation where if you look at, like, the series with Memphis is over. Like, I'm telling you, if you you can't, obviously, but if you throw out game one, they're going to get swept. Mm-hmm. The Jazz are going to win the next four.
As everybody calls it, a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think if it's Dallas, Kawhi Leonard's playing great basketball right now. And Paul George is not.
Yeah.
And I almost feel bad for Kawhi Leonard. Mm-hmm. He's playing incredible basketball, but he's getting help from nobody.
Yeah, well,
it's amazing how many guys around Kawhi Leonard are just not playing well.
They just don't have a proper setup. Like, I look at the Mavericks, the Jazz, like these different teams, they have a clear, like, hey, guy one, guy two, they lead the team, other players believe in them. The Clippers thought they had guy 1 and guy 2, but really they just have Kawhi Leonard, who's guy 1, and everybody else because Paul George is not pulling his weight. And that's why I think that this offseason, because they're not winning a championship this year, not playing like this, they're not. And so assuming that that's the case, when they get bounced out of the playoffs, whenever that is, I think you got to take a serious look at moving Paul George, man. Because if you can move Paul George for just a war chest of like picks and maybe one solid player, you're going to be in a great spot.
I would do that. I would go all in on Kawhi Leonard because he's still playing at a very high level, and I would move Paul George. I don't think you can keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Well,
because you're just not going to get that.
Yeah.
Austin Parkin says, "What with all the flagrant fouls this year in the playoffs, it feels like every game across multiple series I've seen this year had at least one called." Yeah, there's a lot more emphasis on offense and allowing guys to play, and the reason you're seeing a lot more flagrants. And again, I think we saw how many times did Memphis commit a foul on a 3-point attempt last night? I mean,
I want to say it was 4
times at least. Yeah. And I think they're calling a lot more of those. Anthony McCoy says, "How about Niang plus 19, only 15 minutes, but still pretty solid? When he's making his three, the guy's invaluable."
Well, and again, not to tell you we told you so, but again, we told you he was going to have a big game. I mean, you don't go from, game 1 not making anything, and those were wide open looks, to then the next game still not knocking those down. I mean, it's very simple for Niang. He knows it. Quinn knows it, and everybody else on the floor knows it. You're the guy that isn't athletic, that isn't a threat to the defense, who winds up being wide open when the chaos is happening. And there's a guy on every team like that, and that's no knock to him. He needs to make those shots, and he's going to make those shots. And that's part of why that if you want to call it their second unit or, the bench mob, whatever, that second unit is so good because Niang, Ingles, Clarkson when it's going, like those guys are just knockdown shooters, man. And that's why this team is so good.
Forgotten Soul says, "Yeah, poor Kawhi. He's balling, but his team keeps losing." Exactly right.
Yeah.
Anthony McCoy, already read that one. Jordan McDonald, if you're the Jazz, do you trade Rudy for a point guard? You know what? I think if you win a championship this year, I don't know that you're changing anything, which would be a mistake, by the way. But I think right now you're just at a space and time where I don't know that you talk about trading Rudy. Let's see when you go out of the playoffs. Because, again, I'll just say I don't think you're winning a championship.
You need to see Rudy Gobert against the best talents in the league in the postseason. That's what you need to see. You didn't get to see it last year because they weren't able to beat the Nuggets in the bubble, as everybody's always talked about. So the question really is, hey, this roster, the way it's currently set up against the Lakers, let's say, or any great team with a great big, what is Rudy able to do for us against those teams? And if he is able to have success, okay, do we really want to pay this guy $200 million? Like, do we really want to do that? And if you do, and you're cool with that, that's fine, man. But I'm just telling you that you win a championship, it's almost an obligation to keep the main guys on this team. And to me, I'm not trading Rudy Gobert for a point guard. I would trade him for a premier wing scorer.
Oh, he meant Paul George. My bad, Jordan McDonald. He said I meant Paul George.
Oh, well, Paul George, if you're the Clippers, I think you need, a premier point guard would be nice, but I don't know where you're going to go and find that. I don't know.
Would you trade Rudy Gobert for Paul George? I would not.
No, I would not. I would not.
Swiderski, good morning to you. He says, how do you see Don and Bogey on the floor last night? Well, I think Don makes Bogey better. There's no doubt about that because he creates space. I think it was really nice to see Bogey attacking the basket. I was a little surprised, though, at Royce O'Neal, who, and listen, I'm not a Royce O'Neal fan on any level.
Right.
I was a little surprised to see him passing on open threes. And I don't know if his confidence is shaken or, what that might be, but I was a little surprised by that.
Well, what did we see last night, though? I think we saw the return of the Utah Jazz ball movement style of basketball. And I think, Royce O'Neal is not exactly a knockdown three-point shooter. So when he knows he's not a knockdown three-point shooter, when he knows he hasn't been making them, and he knows he's got guys standing to his left and his right who are knockdown three-point shooters, why wouldn't you move that ball?
He was like 4 or 6 last night. He scored points. But the thing that bothers me about Royce O'Neal is again last night, stupid fouls. When you're already in the penalty, you got the Jazz miss a jump shot. John Morant gets the rebound, and Royce O'Neal fouls him out of nowhere. And you stop the clock and you allow Memphis to score points with the clock stopped.
Yeah.
In what world is that a good foul?
And that's what I'm saying. There's these little things that the Jazz do that will come up in conversations on this show when they play better teams. Right now, you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to worry about it. They'll handle the Grizzlies.
A year from now, the Grizzlies might make you worry about it.
Yeah.
They're
definitely going to make moves.
Yeah, I'm just, this series is over. This series is over. I look at the other series. I think this Lakers-Suns game tonight, which we're going to talk about after you go ahead and hit like. Give us a thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching this video. Hit subscribe. I haven't checked our 8:38, right? 8:38 or something like that. 8:30. Yeah, 8:38.
I love that show.
What is that? 162.
Sure.
We are a mere 162 subscribers away from 1,000.
That TV is big, dog.
That is
a big TV.
There is a TV box sitting in my living room right now that we are going to give away. We'll either ship it. Yes, we're shipping internationally. All you have to do is hit subscribe. But remember the piece. It's not just hitting subscribe. Remember the piece where you have to take a picture of your subscription, tag us on Twitter or Instagram, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars. Nobody likes you, so I think that's why they leave you out of it so much.
I mean,
but tag The Monty Show and SLC Supercars on Twitter or Instagram, and you're entered in the drawing to win. Jake keeps adding names to the Tupperware over there.
Yeah, it's over here.
So when we get to 1,000, the next show, we're going to give away that TV and a year of Disney Plus streaming. So make sure you give us a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. Lakers Suns tonight, Game 3. What do you expect out of Chris Paul?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. Is the shoulder better? Can he feel his right hand? Legit. I mean, because he can't shoot right now, and that mid range that he is able to bring creates absolute chaos for whatever team that they play. And I think with the Lakers are dialing in that defense, and that defense is getting tougher by the night. And I think that not having that mid range chaos that Chris Paul brings is not helping the Suns even a little bit. And I think, we want to talk about feeling bad for Kawhi Leonard. I felt bad for Devin Booker in Game 2 because at the end of the day, he did what he had to do, and it just wasn't enough. And I think that's because Chris Paul is just not healthy. And I also think that DeAndre Ayton did not have a nice night. Anthony Davis decided to show up. So the question's going to be, okay, Game 1 was DA, Game 2 was AD. Right? What's Game 3? Who's winning that matchup? Because if DeAndre Ayton wins that matchup, the Suns have a lot better of an opportunity.
Yeah, and they haven't really said much more about Chris Paul. A bunch of people in the comments are asking about an update on CP3. There isn't one.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't expect one. I mean, he's day-to-day. And I think the thing that worries me so much is there's so much bruising on that shoulder. And when you see bruising, Dr. Monty is here to advise you.
Okay, yeah.
That when you see a lot of bruising, what does that generally mean? There's swelling. So what does that generally mean? There's a lack of movement and mobility in that shoulder. And I don't know if you know this or not. I mean, I played a little basketball in my life.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. My point is that to raise your arm over your head, you need range of motion.
My mind is blown!
Here's another one. To shoot a jump shot, you got to raise your arm over your head.
Here's the deal.
Chris Paul's got a lot of bruising, a lot of swelling, and probably a lot of limited range of motion. And what that's going to do to him is it creates pain. I think it's why you see he's unable to move the shoulder quickly. Mm-hmm. And more to the point, not to get way deep in this, but they say the origin of the injury is nerve issues in his trapezius.
It's really unfair.
Which is that muscle right across the top of your shoulder. In other words, he's old, and he was taking his Mucilix and fiber the other morning and tweaked his shoulder. My point is he's probably got liver spots, and he's never going to recover, and the Lakers are going to win this series.
God bless.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
That's
show's
today's
over.
show.
Show's over. But no, I think that's the question everybody's asking. I think Devin Booker needs to have not 30 anymore.
Yeah.
He's got to have 40-point nights because Chris Paul is not going to score what he usually scores.
Yeah, you got to compensate.
Yeah. And I think that Book is capable of that. I think he plays better. He loves to play at Staples Center and Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah.
Those two buildings are buildings he loves performing in, and I think you're going to see Book have a good game tonight. The question is, I think, how physical can the Lakers be? They've struggled to defend DeAndre Ayton. And DeAndre, to his credit, he looks like a guy that's hell-bent on running the floor. If you just watch him run rim to rim, that's all DeAndre Ayton's doing.
Yep.
Running from one rim to the other rim. It's like one of the great scorers in hockey. You know, you're just playing between the circles. That's it, right? So when I look at DeAndre Ayton, he's doing a great job of rim running. And they're doing a great job of feeding him the ball. Notice those passes at his waist are now up at his head or above, because that's where he's able to catch that. And they're taking a page out of the Jazz notebook in Phoenix and throwing him a lot of lobs. And it's working.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. But now the question is, who's going to step into that Chris Paul role? Because you got great scoring on a campaign and it didn't win you a game. Mm-hmm. And I think the issue is not that Chris Paul scores a lot. He facilitates a lot of scoring. So I love the Lakers tonight. I think LeBron is going to have to be really physical. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to attack the rim. I would not be surprised if he shot 10 or 15 free throws tonight. Mm-hmm. I would do what Devin Booker's doing, which is he knows for the Suns to win game 2, he was going to have to they needed to get to the line, not to be redundant, but getting to the line means you're scoring points with the clock stopped. And you're usually playing from behind. The Lakers were always going to come out with renewed energy in that game too. And I think tonight with fans at Staples, they're going to come out with a lot more.
Yeah.
I'd look for Devin Booker to be attacking in the mid-range.
Yeah, I think it's a big game for Book. I think it is a not a big game for LeBron, but a straightforward game for him. You know, typical 25, 8 to 10 assists, you know, that kind of game. That's as usual. And then Anthony Davis is the X factor, honestly. Like, if Anthony Davis has a poor game and gives the Lakers another 11-point performance, then I think Devin Booker and the boys have a chance to win this game. But I think if Anthony Davis is going for 30, you know, LeBron's got 25 to 30, you know, and then you've got the bench mob, which we all know and love in LA, you're not winning this game. I mean, that's just as simple as it is.
Yeah, Brandon Whiteside says, I hope LeBron gets 20 free throws tonight because he'll probably miss 5 of them.
He's never been the best free throw shooter.
He's never been a great shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, if LeBron's settling for threes.
Well, I mean, unless he's seeing 3 rims and then it's going to go in.
Right,
you know?
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Driftwood says, what if I don't have social media?
Well, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do for you.
I mean, it's pretty easy to get Twitter.
You got to make a Twitter, bud.
Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not hard.
It's hard to enter you in, but... I mean, do we make a?
No,
we can't.
No, we don't.
It really is a social.
I'm not trying to
be.
I'm not trying to be an a-hole about it, but it takes 2 minutes to create a Twitter account.
Swiderski's like, you're lost, bro.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm not. You know,
that's
just
funny.
like literally, all you got to do is that's how you enter. Just do it. Like it's not hard.
Yep. Brylark says that the Suns have a chance. It'll have to go 7 games. I totally agree with that. I think the Lakers are getting healthy, and water's wet, and Chris Paul's hurt in the playoffs.
Your favorite saying.
Well, it's pretty obvious that was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it before the series started.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Red Heart Norvis says CP3 should take a quick acupuncture to get that nerve swelling down. Well, they say he's been doing cupping and acupuncture. That they've been using heat. They've been using a lot of man, I'm telling you, massage guns are the greatest thing in the world. The Theragun.
Excellent strategy, sir.
Dude, if you don't have a massage gun, you should get one. Cody Strickland, the feeling alone when Don was present felt so different than Sunday's game. Oh, I mean, it was completely uplifting.
It felt like your hero showed up. Seriously.
Jeremy Bolton, good morning to you. He says, I hope LeBron can survive tonight. I mean, I could have sworn he almost died the way he was rolling on the court in pain. I mean,
give the guy an Academy Award, bro.
It's a pain and stuff. Driftwood says, no thanks on the social media.
Okay. Well, sorry, man.
Do you enjoy, I don't, how do I say this kindly? I don't have very many followers on Twitter, but I enjoy Twitter to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of I stopped tweeting during the game last night because the vitriol of Jazz fans, like I was we were tweeting about the Ingles foul, and it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, that's why a lot of times during games I don't tweet a lot because it's so, Twitter
It's
tough
not
guy
enjoyable.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not enjoyable, and I think that Twitter, much like every other social media platform, has a purpose. For the commenters, that purpose on this show is to win a 50-inch TV or an Xbox Series S or a PS5 or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
But, on the day-to-day, Twitter for me is not enjoyable. It's not something that I'm like, man, I can't wait to get on Twitter.
8:39.
I'm so happy. That's not what it is. I use Twitter for news and hey,
8:39.
it's coming,
We're at 839 subscribers.
Yeah, let's go. Come on.
Don't be a simp. Subscribe.
Yeah, come on.
By the way, I got so many comments yesterday about the fact I used the word simp.
Simp is such a great word.
It is such a great word. Jordan Crabtree says, I would love to see Carmelo go off for 20 points in Portland. What do you make of Portland versus Denver? Denver's a better team.
That's a 7-game series waiting to happen, dude. 7-game series waiting to happen.
I think Portland may have erred in waking up the sleeping Jokic giant.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dame's going to be looking for Aaron Gordon tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, by the way, these late games.
Dude, you're killing me, man.
Stop.
You're killing me, dude.
Can we tip everything off at 5 Mountain Time, please?
Yes.
That would be so much better for my life.
Whoever came up with that shit need to be fired.
That's what I'm saying, LBJ. I mean, come on.
Yeah, dude. 8 o'clock tips are rough.
By the way, Bucks Heat tonight. That series is over.
Dude, again.
That series is
the
over.
ass kicking that team gave the Heat is amazing. I honestly don't know where the Heat team from last year went. I mean, it's the same. It's literally the same team. They're just not playing well, and they're allowing the Bucks to do whatever they want. And everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, the Bucks got better." Well, they didn't really. I mean, yeah, sure. Holiday's a nice little player. He's solid. He can do things for you. But that's not the reason that the Bucks are winning by 30 or whatever it was the other night. I mean, the Heat need to actually show up and play a quality game of basketball.
How about Sean saying you need an affiliate link for Foot Locker? I caught my first pair of Jordans yesterday.
Let's go.
Welcome to the family.
That's every day.
Let's go.
And just don't overspend on it like I do. My wife said to me the other day, we have to stop buying shoes.
Just saying.
And I was like, why? And she's like, well, because we only have so much space and we're out.
Whatever.
And then that stupid TV yesterday, it ruined one of my wife's. So I'm working yesterday at the old Yelpatory.
Right, yeah.
And the 50-inch TV gets delivered.
Yeah.
And my wife goes out the front door to pick it up, and she brings it in, and she comes downstairs, and she wrecked a white shirt that she had on. Because the box, this UPS should just have a conveyor belt into my front door.
Mm-hmm.
They really should just be able to ring the doorbell, the conveyor belt turns on, and you just put the shoes on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Tuesday, came in the front door when I was back
Tuesday, by the way, I made a killing on some J's this week that I sold on StockX. The guy literally handed them to my wife. We turned around pretty much 5 minutes later, walked out the back door to go to the UPS store.
Dude.
In the front, out the back. It's called making Jake. Anyway, a couple other things. Wow. Okay, so all of these comments.
Comment dump.
Austin Parkins says, dude, don't even start whining about how bad your game time starts are. I'm a Jazz fan living in Florida. Last night's game didn't start till 10:30 and ended at 1 a.m. How's Florida, by the way? How about this indictment on Donald Trump?
Ooh.
Do you think do you think Donald Trump ever goes to jail? If you didn't hear,
yes.
Cyrus Vance, the district attorney in New York, at the behest of the attorney general, is convened a grand jury that's going to meet, I think it's 3 times a week for the next 6 months to hear evidence. That means there's an indictment coming.
Bro, wait. 3 times a week for 6 months in a row?
Well, they have supposedly, and I say supposedly.
Allegedly!
Because supposedly they have the most evident, one of the largest evidence stockpiles in the history of New York law.
Bro.
So they need a lot of time to get through not only the witness testimony, because they're talking about well, and it depends on who you believe, but the government allegedly, supposedly, has an agreement in place with Donald Trump's CFO from the Trump companies
Yeah.
to flip as a federal witness, to be a rat. And they've got already Michael Cohen. They've got all these witnesses lined up.
Michael Cohen.
They haven't even started what's called discovery yet, which is, hey, we're going to voir dire the witness, which means question the witness, which is going to lead to more evidence and more. This thing is just getting started. Do you think Donald Trump ever goes to jail?
Yes.
I don't think he does.
I think he does.
The problem is he's not eligible for a pardon. I think Joe Biden would pardon him at the federal level because that's just what you do. I don't think he ever goes to jail. I don't. I would seriously doubt it.
At some point,
I would doubt it.
I don't doubt the guy has an incredible ability to get out of trouble. Don't doubt that at all. Obviously he does. But at some point, the authorities, they get tired of offering deals to guys like this. And at some point, you are going to prove a point that, hey, you can't evade taxes at the level that he's evading taxes. You can't, conspire with foreign powers the way he did.
Well, the crux of the charges are because 3-4 people are asking, what did he do?
What didn't he do?
What didn't he do? So there's a lot of this is going to be tax evasion. He gifted a bunch of land to his family so he could take it as a tax write-off, which, as it turns out, is illegal. His daughter, Ivanka, is being paid as a consultant to avoid taxes because you can write off consultant fees. He's got all kinds of issues with the way he applied for financing. Deutsche Bank is at the center of this. Donald Trump supposedly lied about his Taj Mahal casinos in New Jersey, Atlantic City. He overvalued them to get loans, but then when he did his taxes, he undervalued them so that he could take a loss. And what they're essentially doing to go A equals B plus your mom is they're taking his loan applications and his tax returns and comparing them. So did you lie on your tax returns or did you lie on the loan app? Because one's bank fraud, which is federal. Another one is tax evasion, which is federal.
Yeah.
And he did this for decades.
Oof.
And he repeatedly filed for refinancing of loans in terms. His golf courses in the UK, he's under investigation in the United Kingdom and in Ireland because his golf courses do not list how they were funded. And so one of the reasons that Donald Trump has tried so hard to hide his taxes is because he does not want to disclose who actually paid for those golf courses. It's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They are the premier golf courses, some of them around the world. And it's pretty clear that Russia and China played a significant funding role in acquiring those properties. Well, he isn't disclosing how they were paid for, and he is not disclosing how much money they make. He's only saying that they lose hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
So there's all this impropriety. So he's in trouble in Europe. He's in trouble in the United States. And then, oh, by the way, there is wire fraud charges pending that are likely going to be the ones that actually got him. It will be wire fraud because now this is why Michael Cohen flipping his former fixer attorney is such a big deal. Because the Stormy Daniels payment situation is actually federal wire fraud, depending on how the money was sent to her. And Michael Cohen is providing testimony and evidence that shows the money came from Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't think he ever goes to jail. I just don't.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. Barry Allen says, "Good day, everyone. Out here, I am here to introduce you about Dr. Who is a very powerful spellcaster. Contact him on YouTube if you're facing any relationship issues." Now, it is no surprise, Barry Allen, that YouTube has blocked your comment.
Oh, dude.
We don't do voodoo witch doctors on this show.
Right.
That's a different show. Just YouTube search for Dr. Phil. That's your show. Trump doesn't evade taxes. Instead, he hired Rudy Gobert to block all those tax collections. Still one of the greatest blocks I've ever seen last night on John Morant.
Yes.
Okay, before we get out of here, because we're trying to be better about not going 3 hours worth of a show. Right. Mrs. Monty lacing up some new AJ1s. Those are sweet. A couple of things. Can we please talk about reviews? Reviews on like Yelp, reviews on Facebook, reviews on Google.
Right.
So, do you read reviews? I had an interesting conversation with somebody at the Yelpatory yesterday, a client of mine, who apparently doesn't know how to use credit cards because it was declined.
Well, let's talk about it. I'm a good listener.
I have a glass top desk that I cracked the glass top desk.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes. Yes, there's a crack in my desk.
From what? You hitting it?
Well, I do hit it with some authority, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, the point is, so...
I hit dingers.
Yeah, I you know.
Anyway, okay, reviews, yeah.
Bottoms
Sorry,
up.
my bad.
Reviews, yes. So, somebody said to me yesterday that reviews, that they don't read reviews and they don't matter. Mm-hmm. Do you, when you're going to go to a restaurant, do you read reviews?
No.
You don't?
No. I only read them if they have a negative review rating.
Really?
Yeah.
I read reviews all the time. When we were looking for a contractor, I didn't read reviews. Well, because he didn't have any. Now I know why. I do read reviews for food and contractors. Mm-hmm. I don't read reviews for like car dealerships. I don't think reviews for lawyers. Like, it depends on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so for me with reviews, like, if it's all about quantity and what your rating is. So if you've got like 100 5-star reviews, I'm not reading reviews. You've clearly are doing a good enough job.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. You know, if you have 10 reviews and you're, just short of 4 stars, let's say on Yelp or Google or something, okay, yeah, then I'm probably going to take a little sneak peek and see what exactly people are complaining about. Because you can always tell the just ridiculous review person who's just leaving a bad review to leave it, versus somebody who actually took the time to write like a genuine review. And, so it really depends on what they say. But overall, no, I'm not a big review reader. And that's probably because the places I go are not to be questioned,
Oh, wow.
Like overall, like you're not reading reviews on Mastros, right?
Not all of us are papered up like some of us.
Well,
I read reviews in 2 places. I read them on Yelp and I read them on Amazon. Mm-hmm. I just bought a new Theragun. I read all the reviews on it, and thankfully I did.
Crapping out?
No, it's fantastic.
Oh,
dudes, I'm telling you, if you
carbon fiber.
If you don't use a Theragun, these things are unbelievable. I mean, even No, I was going to make a sex joke, but I'm not going to do it.
I want it.
The point is, you should get one. I read reviews for that. I read reviews for microphones. Like, I read reviews.
Things like microphones, great place to read reviews. Because
Yes.
it's a tech thing. You need to see what people say about it. Like, that's different. Like, I feel like with tech stuff, okay, now I'm really going to look into that, because
Yes.
I want to know what the experience that other people had with that piece of tech was. If it was like, if it's, like my MacBook as an example, I read reviews to see if people felt like they needed to buy the model with a ton more storage or if the middle of the road one was fine. That kind of a thing is when I'll read reviews.
Welcome to Jeff W., our newest subscriber on YouTube. Appreciate you being
Jeff.
here. Thank you. Oh, yes, Austin Lewis, golf clubs. Absolutely on golf clubs. Yep. I read reviews for products bought, but not for food, Casey Finlinson says.
Same thing.
Giggity says, I read reviews for everything. Austin Lewis says, reviews decide if I buy a product or not. Agree with that. Fat Jesus says, 4 stars. The Monty Show, 4 stars. Funny, knowledgeable, too much slurping.
God bless.
Slurping.
Too much slurping. That's hysterical.
That's every day.
Oh, Fat Jesus is my guy. I you know what? I'll leave reviews right there because then we're going to talk about sandwiches in a minute before we leave.
Hot dog sandwiches?
Don't.
My bad. Sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Okay, here's one. Is cereal soup?
No.
Okay, thank you.
What the hell?
I think Casey Finlinson asked me that last week.
Is cereal soup? No way.
No. Anyway, the point is, I lost my train of thought. Chicken and a biscuit.
Good crack.
Chicken and a biscuit's a great cracker. I read the reviews highly. I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's really unfair.
Comment, I'm old. All right, sandwiches.
Yeah.
Fat cheeses. I appreciate we have so many people that have followed this show. Casey Finlinson has followed our show since we were in Utah in 2013.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that you guys have been here. Wow, that's almost 10 years.
Yeah, dude.
That's almost 10 years.
We getting old, Mike.
We getting old, Mike.
Yeah.
I just appreciate everybody who's here. We're rocketing towards 1,000. That's why we give stuff away. We don't make money on this show.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we spend a lot of money on this show. But we don't make money on this show. So when we gave away the PlayStation last week, we gave away a PlayStation. We give away our clothing line. We give away that, that's our money.
Yeah.
And we do that because you guys really support us. You make it possible for us to grow the show every day.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you being here. Before we get out of here, because we do have to leave, today is National Italian Beef Sandwich Day.
It's today.
Today! You need a sandwich. Mrs. Monty and I had this discussion yesterday,
Yeah.
and they made a pretty good choice. You need a sandwich. What kind of sandwich and where are you getting it from?
Man. Okay.
Because we talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean your
My
place.
decision-
Your place that you guys always go to is pretty damn bomb. I give you credit.
Knickerbockers? Yep.
Man. I came over. What was that? 2 Fridays ago.
Yep.
Had what did you get? A Philly? You got a Philly 2 Fridays ago. It was like a Philly cheesesteak sandwich.
Oh, that was from Capriati's.
That was Capriati's. Well, whatever that was amazing, dude. Mrs.
Monty hates Capriati's.
She's objecting. Was it not from Capriati's?
It was Capriati's. Yeah, the Philly cheesesteak is. I only get it from Capriati's. They have the best one.
Yeah,
They have
that
the
thing
best
was
one.
amazing. But
Yep.
generally speaking, I am definitely a club sandwich guy.
Yeah. You just have no variety. Do you understand how little variety you have in your food choices?
Sure.
Like you just. I'm serious. You eat the same thing. You're like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? A burrito. Hey,
'Cause it's
we're
reliable.
going out
It's
to
good.
dinner. Hey, we're going out to dinner, man. What do you want?
Mastros?
A burrito.
Mastros?
Hey, by the way, it's your last meal on Earth.
Mastros.
Those UFOs turned out to be real. What do you want to eat before you die? I don't know. How about a burrito?
What's wrong with a good burrito?
Okay, you had a chicken burrito last time. What kind do you want this time? Chicken.
Chicken.
Next time, chicken. After that, chicken.
Hey, look here, man.
You want to try barbacoa? What's barbacoa? I'll have chicken.
I want it.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
This kid eats the same thing every day.
Just because I like mac and cheese doesn't make mac and cheese bad.
Right, but I like mac and cheese.
Right.
That doesn't mean all I ever do is mac.
Well said.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
My sandwich tastes vary. Unlike you, I actually enjoy the variety. I like blondes and brunettes.
Yeah.
That's why I get, like yesterday, I had a Cubby's tri-tip sandwich, which is amazing.
Right. Cubby's is overrated, though. Come on. Cubby's is a little overrated. It's expensive as hell. I mean, it's a little overrated.
See, like, I try to be patient.
My fucking ass.
I try to be patient with you. And then you say things like, oh, Cubby's is overrated.
Oh shit, damn, I am tripping.
Because what do you get when you go to Cubby's? A chicken. You get a chicken sandwich. What do you get when you go to Chick-fil-A? A chicken sandwich. What do you get when you go to your mom's house? A chicken sandwich.
Well,
like, that's all you ever get. Well, let's see. This is a Mexican place. Hey, do you guys have a chicken sandwich?
That's every day.
I'll just have a burrito. It's fine. Like, that's all you do. Hey, you want to go out and get sushi? No. Do they have burritos there? Like, that's all you do.
I think that's an exaggeration, but okay.
It is. Well, because no. What's in your refrigerator right now to eat?
Costco salad bowls, eggs, shredded potatoes.
So what do you eat every day for breakfast?
Well, recently I've been having the Kodiak waffles, which have been bomb. But most days it's a couple eggs, some veggies, shredded potatoes, bit of toast.
What'll it be tomorrow?
Probably something similar.
What'll it be today?
Same thing.
What'll it be Saturday?
Hey, listen, I don't have
Monday
all day to
and
get all
Tuesday?
creative with breakfast.
Neither do I, bro. But I eat oatmeal And then
Yeah,
I
but I'm
fart
not an
everywhere,
oatmeal guy.
right?
I'm
I
not an
fart
oatmeal
everywhere,
guy.
which is great. I
Yeah.
eat peanut butter and jelly oatmeal, and then just deuces are wild. But I'll eat eggs and toast. I will
But
have.
what's wrong with having consistency? I mean, what's wrong with having the same breakfast every day?
Get
man?
out and live.
Yeah.
And you wonder why women hate you because you,
Empty. The opposite of full.
which is what they say about your pants. My point is,
The answer is yes.
you have to get out and live.
I don't know what you mean.
Live.
Uh-huh.
My
Right.
God.
Right.
Brylark says, "Oh, prison last meal discussion would be interesting." Okay,
Twitter's been going crazy.
we have 2 minutes. Last meal in prison.
New York strip
chicken
medium.
chicken burrito.
New York strip medium. Mashed potatoes.
Filiberto's chicken burrito.
Rillaberto's rice and beans.
Qualia Bertos.
Yeah, and
Steve Bertos.
and
Jim
a hot dog
Bertos,
sandwich.
and a hot dog sandwich. Big questions are hot dog sandwiches.
Hey,
Austin,
dude. You're gonna start World War VII in the comments section.
Casey Finlinson. DP cheesesteaks is great. Got to go back soon. Have never had a DP cheesesteak. He also says, bigger question, Austin. Does ketchup go on a hot dog?
Yes, dude.
Yes, ketchup goes on a hot dog.
Okay, you're going to Costco. Chicken bake or hot dog?
Hot dog. Hot dog. Chicken bakes are the defecation of the devil.
Shame.
That's all I'll say about it. That's all I'll say about it.
Bro, chicken bakes are fire.
Carter says, Tanner here using my friend's YouTube account today. The Jazz are finished. The Grizzlies dominated this game. Mitchell look hobbled. I think the Jazz will lose 5-1.
All gas, no break.
Damn it. Tanner says, Jake is having no variety with your meals. The reason why you're not married. Yes.
Well,
I had to convince him to buy a vacuum. I'm serious.
I didn't have to convince me to buy a vacuum.
Okay,
dude.
did you just say I didn't have to convince
You didn't
me?
have to convince me to buy a vacuum.
No, it was a bit of an arm twisting.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
No. I ended up spending like $400 on a damn vacuum.
Well, that or you could have gotten one of those maid services that cleans your apartment in a bikini.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
You're single. Why not? Anyway, yes, cereal is soup. No,
no.
I'm not doing
See,
this
why?
today.
Dude, why?
Why?
Why do we have to go in on that in the comments, man?
Okay, seriously, because we've got like 1 minute. Prison last meals.
Yes. New York strip medium, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese,
Garlic mash or lobster mash?
garlic mash.
Okay. Niall Gardner says Jake is loyal to being single. I like it when Monty says basketball. Okay, that's cool. Jake going through the quarter life crisis right now.
Yeah, Jesus. Guy can't eat a hot dog sandwich without getting grilled.
Oh, that's funny.
Whoa.
That's loud. That's music. That's
Whoa.
loud. All right, we got to roll. Make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe on this here channel. Hey, listen, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. If you're here, give us a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. Then hit subscribe. Take a photo of your subscription. Tag us on Twitter and Instagram, The Monty Show. MONTY, The Monty Show on Twitter and Instagram, as well as SLC Supercars. SLC Supercars. Fuck me. Until tomorrow, say SLC Supercars, Jake.
SLC Supercars, Jake.